Your ground's too big for you. Your ground's too big for you. I'm very impressed with Brentford. It's early kickoff, huge, really long journey, and it looks like they're going to actually take the top tier from their allocation. Well done. So impressed with the Brentford fans, by the way. Look at them, look how many there are. That's warm, man. Oh, well. Well done. Just before half time as well. Come on, City. Two seasons ago, it was Leeds. Last season, it was Crystal Palace. This season, it is Brentford. It's that time of the season where City lose their customary game at home against a random sort of mid-table team. Don't really know what's going on there. I'm going to analyse the match now. I don't really know what I've just watched with my innocent eyeballs. First of all, congratulations to Brentford for winning, and also congrats to the fans as well. There wasn't as much singing as I may have thought there would have been considering the numbers, but the numbers they brought were immense. They filled the top bit of their allocation. It's Brentford, it's early kickoff, very impressive. So I was really impressed with the fans, to be honest. And the team as well from Brentford, I thought they deserved to win. Even before that 98th minute winner from Toney went in, I thought, gosh, we've got away with one here. assuming it was going to be a draw at that point. So the winner was all they deserved. Brentford should have been 2-0 up before they went a goal up. Ederson kept us in the game. Sort of like the first 25 minutes or so, City were god-awful. It was actually embarrassing how many times Brentford were able to carve out these really good goal-scoring opportunities. As I say, but for Ederson's very good saves, we would have been 2-0, 3-0 down. The reason why City struggled today so much, from a Brentford perspective, is just because Ivan Toney, in the air, couldn't touch him. I'm assuming it was a strategy. Basically, it was long ball from the goalkeeper right here, and Toney, he doesn't like he flicks it on. Basically, he doesn't actually try. He doesn't go to like check control it for him. He just goes to stuff like do like a deft little flick, and assuming there's going to be a runner in behind. It's obviously something Brentford have worked on to great effect. Toney got Rodri's number a few times. He made a Kanji look like a fifth choice centre back for City. I don't really know why we're as much as Akanji's been good this season, I don't know why we're playing our fifth choice centre back. Ruben Diaz is on the bench, fully fit. He's brilliant in the air, and his aggression is exactly what should have been on the pitch and what we needed against a striker as in form as Ivan Toney. He's also probably got a point to prove, considering he wasn't included in the England squad selection. Toney embarrassed him. Couldn't win the header initially, and then couldn't win the second ball. Even though I know that Toney beat Laporte in the air for the first goal, Laporte was excellent throughout. He saved us at least twice. John Stones, it's not his fault. He's not a right back, but there was no creativity from that side. Cancelo had maybe the worst game I've ever seen him play, which is a huge shame because he's such a great player. But today was just not his day offensively, defensively. Who else? Kevin De Bruyne. Don't know what's... Again, another fantastic player, another a world-class player in Kevin De Bruyne. Once again, errand balls, not going anywhere, no ideas, no creativity. Haaland is not fit. Normally, you'd see him make those runs over and over and over again. Just wasn't doing it today, certainly as frequently. So I'm sure there's still an issue there. He's still not 100% healthy and fit. I probably would have liked to see Alvarez start, who did good when he came on and nearly got an assist as well in like the 10 minutes he was on the pitch. He's been playing well recently. He is fit. I think we should have done what we did against Fulham. Also surprised Grealish didn't start, considering how good he's been recently. Ended that point on Haaland. When the ball did eventually find him, it never quite found him. He was getting into the right positions, but the cross in, if it was like an error one, it was always just slightly over. If it was on the ground, again, it was slightly in front of him or slightly behind him. And the Alvarez one, where the ball, for once, is actually a really good ball into Haaland. Haaland slips. You can't really blame anyone for that. He just happens to slip in that crucial moment. It would have been a tap-in, but hey, he slipped. So just one of those days, really. I don't like to question player attitudes and integrity, but to me, that seemed like nearly all of those players had an eye on the World Cup, which is kicking off next week. That's my suspicion, because against Fulham, down to 10 men, Fulham are sort of, I think it's fair to say Fulham and Brentford are sort of similar level. City were down to 10 men for 70 minutes, and they absolutely dominated the game. Like the 70th minute when Haaland came on, chance after chance after chance after chance. You always thought City have a chance here, City have a chance to score and win this game. I didn't get that vibe against Brentford. There wasn't the same desire, there wasn't the same intensity. It wasn't the same work ethic or work rate. Maybe it's a coincidence, I don't know, but it did to me smell of some of those players, and this is bad, by the way, this is a bad mentality point. Some of those players were already on the plane to Qatar. Maybe they're thinking, oh, I won't run that extra yard because I don't want to pull a hamstring just before the World Cup. I don't want to go in too strongly for that challenge. Don't want to get injured before the World Cup. No idea if that's the case. Maybe it's just a coincidence the City played terribly today, but there was definitely a lack of desire, a lack of intensity in City's play. In all honesty, I think a 2-1 scoreline flattered City. Ederson made 2 great saves early on. The second goal for Brentford should never happen. I think the 2 furthest back players for City are Haaland, who's a striker, and Gundogan. But then right at the end, they should have scored another one. But De Bruyne Again, no one was running back apart from Kevin De Bruyne. As bad as De Bruyne was in terms of his like passing and crossing, etc., he was at least running around. He was at least running around and all that stuff. And he was the only one that was back, it seemed. And but for that, it would have been even worse. So yeah, I thought 2-1 flattered Man City, and that's embarrassing because as good as Brentford are and were last season, at the end of the day, it is Brentford, and you are Manchester City. You should be beating them very comfortably. There were some chances on another day. I think City would have buried. I think of the Haaland one, if he just doesn't slip most of the time, that's a tap-in. Probably the worst one, and therefore the best chance, was when Haaland just he played it into Gundogan, and Gundogan absolutely skies it. Even in like the 94th minute, when it was still 1-1, Foden takes a shot, it's deflected, just goes wide. So it's a combination of, it was one of those days. I do think it being the last game before the World Cup has it negatively impacted some of those players, and that's not me excusing them. If anything, that's me criticising them. You should not have any eyes on future tournaments. It should just be on the match in hand. Brentford, by that, conversely, were good. They were defensively solid. They knew exactly what they wanted to do. Toney was excellent. He made Akanji look like an amateur at times. Brentford 100% deserved to win, and now I'm assuming that Arsenal are going to beat Wolves later today, so it will mean that going into Christmas, Arsenal will have a 5-point lead over Man City. I wasn't seeing them as genuine title contenders up until it was the win against Liverpool and then the win against Chelsea away. Even though Chelsea were rubbish, Arsenal were still very good. They're 100% title contenders. Contenders are 100% in a title race. If anyone tells you otherwise, if they're an Arsenal fan, I'm assuming that they just don't want to get their hopes up. But Arsenal 100% in a title race, aren't they? Probably 5 points ahead going into Christmas. I still think City will win the title. If I had to put like a percentage of how confident I am on that, I'd say I'm like 75% to 80% confident City will still win it. 5 points sounds like a lot, and maybe it is a lot, but City and Arsenal still have to play each other, so it's still in both City's and Arsenal hands in that respect. And we've played 14 games, so we're just over a third of the way through the season. We've got loads more points to play for, loads of games to play. So I'm not worried just yet, but losing today is not ideal. It's not ideal preparation. The next thing on the agenda is going to be the World Cup, isn't it? So stay tuned on the channel. There's going to be loads of World Cup watch-alongs and World Cup content as we go through the tournament. Next week, I'm going to be releasing my FIFA corruption and Qatar World Cup video. I also want to do a World Cup prediction video, and also, of course, my England starting 11 for the World Cup. What's going to bring it home? So I'm not as I say, not as a City fan, not obviously a bit annoyed, a bit upset, but I'm not too frustrated because it's still early days in the season. City have a track record of doing this anyway. There were a lot of penalty shouts in the game. No idea if any of them were. I thought maybe the foul on De Bruyne may have been the best. I don't know what happened there. Maybe I'm assuming it obviously wasn't a penalty. João Cancelo, mate. I know you're watching this. Cancelo, you got booked for diving. Stop that, please. I hate diving. Diving's not my least favourite thing. If I was in charge of football, diving would equal a red card. So that's probably the thing that annoyed me the most about Cancelo's performance. He was awful anyway, and he tried to win a penalty by cheating. That really annoyed me. Shame on you, you fraud. And obviously, I had Toney on the bench in my FPL, and I had Cancelo, Kevin De Bruyne, and Haaland, who did nothing. Guys, that was the video. Hope you enjoyed it. Stay tuned for more football content on the channel, particular World Cup content. I'll see you next time.